Where do I start with this game? For those of you living under a rock and not familiar with the series, Street Fighter made its debut in the arcades in 1987. On the back of its success, the home version quickly followed on all conceivable platforms of the time, including the Commodore 64. Tiertex brought this foul stench of a fighting game to our trusty and much loved 8-bit home computer. I suspect the coding was done whilst highly intoxicated or by a pet monkey. How this passed any quality assurance testing is beyond my comprehension. Anyway, let's check out both the UK and USA versions of the game and see where it takes us, starting with Tiertex UK version. Street Fighter, as you may have guessed, is based on Capcom's 1987 arcade game. You enter the worldwide martial arts tournament as Ryu and fight opponents from across the globe in order to become the street fighting champion. Ryu's fighting arsenal is made up of various punches and kicks. That's it. No special attacks which made the arcade game so iconic. Hadouken! Each battle has timed rounds, the winner being the last fighter standing. After each battle, Ryu competes in bonus rounds, smashing bricks to earn extra points. If you manage to bribe a friend to play Street Fighter, you could have yourself a 2-player grudge match, Ryu vs Ken. The winner proceeds to take on the computer-controlled fighters, while the loser is subjected to watching the rest of the game from the sidelines. After the great playability of Go's Bionic Commando, I remember being really looking forward to one of the kings of arcade beat-em-ups back when I was a kid. However, though by no means a complete disaster, this release was definitely not a great arcade conversion. I think if joystick control and response time were tuned up, I guess the graphics could be ignored and Street Fighter could have become a very enjoyable game. If you're a big fan of the arcade version, you might like to consider adding this to your collection, but don't expect to be entertained. For the best unarmed combat game, play Arcade Plus, and if it's large fighters you want, then look at Bangkok Knights. Anyway, that was the UK Tiertex version of the game, but how did the USA Pacific Dataworks version fare? Whatever your feelings are on the Street Fighter franchise might be, you would probably be hard pressed to find a worse version than what Tiertex delivered. And so, I'm pretty sure I'm surprising nobody when I tell you that the US version ported by Pacific Dataworks is better than the UK version. The keyword here being better, not necessarily good, but effort still needs to be acknowledged, and Pacific Dataworks' effort here is clearly the better one. For one, this version looks so much better than the UK attempt, with characters being easily recognisable as themselves, even if they look like vertically squished versions. Playing through the game, I also noticed that the fight animations were also quite good. Also, I think the music is pretty decent now too, and has individual scores for each character, instead of the incessant drone that was the music for the UK version. On top of that, you even get impact sounds for when you or your opponent make contact. All that sounds pretty good so far, right? But as I said in the beginning, the US version of Street Fighter falls short of being considered good. And, sadly, that all has to do with the actual gameplay. Not entirely sure how I feel about the game losing all the other bells and whistles either. The brick chopping parts are gone, as is the little post-fight spiels from each of the fighters. Instead, you're just unceremoniously dumped from fight to fight. Granted, either of those weren't much, but it's odd for a version that prides itself on looking good to not include all of this. Makes everything a bit more streamlined, I guess. On a more serious note, the US version also chose to dispense with the last opponent of Street Fighter, namely Sagat. That is an incredibly weird choice to make, and his presence is certainly missed. On the other hand, the game has the decency to, well, use the post-fight monologue as an ending instead, and won't force you to go through all of it again just because. The game might be better than its UK cousin, but calling it a good game would be a little much. The only reason to own Street Fighter on the Commodore 64 is for the collector's value. Otherwise, you'd probably get more bang for your buck if you find the original arcade machine somewhere and dump 10p in it. At least the fireball can be pulled off without much trouble. So then, to summarise, it's a shame that the graphics were messy. Not that it's all about graphics by any means, but the graphics on Street Fighter did nothing to show the Commodore 64's capabilities, with the fighters on the UK version especially tending to clash with the background. It's like the sprites and backgrounds were splodged onto the screen with crayons. To top it all off, I must admit the controls are hard to master too, and by the time you attempt to pull off an attack, it is already too late. Game over. Which is probably a good thing. All in all, however, the consolation is the fun 2-player mode. Otherwise, this is just a poor conversion on both regions of the game. And as I mentioned earlier, there are far better beat-em-ups out there for the Commodore 64. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button and let me know your experiences with Street Fighter in the comment section. Was it the UK version you played? Or maybe you had the USA version of the game? Either way, what did you think of it? If you're enjoying the nostalgia, then please consider subscribing to the channel, as we delve deeper into the Commodore 64 catalogue of games. Hopefully, I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, bye for now.